the Israeli prime minister, they've issued a warrant for his arrest. And I think that amongst the charges that they're trying to charge him with is war crimes. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. It's crazy out here.
The International Criminal Court has just issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, accusing them of war crimes in Gaza, and also for a top Hamas commander, also known as Mohammed Deif, who is believed to be dead. The court says it found reasonable grounds to believe the prime minister bears criminal responsibility for war crimes, including starvation as a method of warfare. And it rejected Israel's challenge of the court's jurisdiction over the matter. CNN's Nick Robertson joins us now from Jerusalem. Nick, what more can you tell us?
Well, this is a very, very significant escalation. It was first announced by Karim Khan, the ICC chief prosecutor, back in May, that he was going to seek to request arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, who was the defense minister at the time, as well as 3 other senior Hamas officials, including Mohammed Deif, Ismail Haniyeh, Yahya Sinwar, the other. Those 3 are all dead. Deif believed to have been killed in July, so unclear why they've issued an arrest warrant now for him. But by overturning Israel's rejection of the jurisdiction and the allegations by the court, this clears the way for something very, very significant, which Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel have never, ever faced before. These are very, very serious charges and allegations, as you read them out there, that the court believes they have grounds to believe that he bears criminal responsibility for war crimes, as you said, including starvation as a method of warfare, and of crimes against humanity, of murder, persecution, and of other crimes. These are very, very serious allegations. These are not the sorts of allegations that the Prime Minister has faced before. When the ICC first made these statements back in May, the Prime Minister's office said that they were absurd, that they were false, and that they were a distortion of reality. It is something that back then the Prime Minister took very, very seriously. He's been in meetings today with the US mediator Amos Hochstein, talking about the possibility of a ceasefire with Hezbollah in Lebanon to the north. But this is absolutely now going to come front and center of the Prime Minister's attention here.
So this is very significant, Nick, but then what potentially could be next? Is this an issue of, depending on where Netanyahu were to travel, he could be apprehended, or is he asked to voluntarily cooperate?
Yeah, this is,
How many people think that Netanyahu is actually going to turn himself in? How many people think that he's actually going to go without a problem? Here's a bigger question. How many people think that if he is captured, because I don't think that he's ever going to really be captured, but we'll see what happens. How many people believe or arrested, let's just say arrested, and tried on international war crimes, including starvation from humanity? How many people believe that they're actually going to capture this guy alive? Or is this another play to continue to play into the military-industrial complex, and as well as making sure that they run up a bag when it comes to staying in war? I'm just asking. How many people think that he's coming outside from his country? Who gonna go get him? Who going to get him? Who going to get Netanyahu? How many believe that this is actually just a charade? Honestly. Here's a better question. Oh, I don't know if I could say this one. How many other world leaders? Because listen, this is the Millionaire Morning Show, so we're going to say what we want to say when we want to say it, and we're going to give our opinion. Now, we got to be careful how we give our opinion, but we're going to absolutely positively just stay keeping it real, right? How many people believe that most, not all, most world leaders, even of first world countries, could be accused of the same? Not of things that we see promoted in the regular media. Maybe I'm going down the Slimmy path. I seen my dog Slimmy inside of the chat today. Not of the stuff that we see promoted in the regular media. Because listen, I think that they all the same personally. I think that most, not all, most world leaders probably could be issued the same type of warrant. Take that, read between the lines and take that to mean what you want it to mean. Most of the people, most world leaders are probably even more horrific than Netanyahu. But he's the Saddam Hussein of the day. And he's absolutely a monster. I 100% believe that Netanyahu is absolutely a monster. But whenever something is being promoted to me a lot of times, I try to seek the context to better understand exactly why they're doing this. Let's find out more what's going on.
It's uncharted territory for the Prime Minister. Certainly, we understand the legal implications for all the countries that support the ICC. These are countries that have signed what's known as the Rome Statute. 124 countries have signed up to the Rome Statute. That includes most European countries. There are other leaders, current and former, like Bashir of Sudan, who has essentially been on the lam from the ICC for several years since they issued an arrest warrant for him.
And they're not going to get him. They are not going to get him. Listen, it's so many people that they've issued arrest warrants for war crimes and has done some of the most horrific things, and probably some of them even done horrific things for other world leaders, but they just the scapegoat or they just the face of it. But they're not going to get him. You might as well throw barbecue on the list while you're out there too, over there in Haiti.
For him, an arrest warrant issued just in the past year or so for President Vladimir Putin of Russia, who continues to run his country and fight the war in Ukraine. But we have seen in the case of Vladimir Putin that there are countries that he has avoided visiting, like South Africa, for a BRICS summit, where potentially, because South Africa is a signatory to the Rome Statute, he could have technically been arrested and taken to The Hague. So will the same fate or limitations on travel face Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu? It appears absolutely so. If he would have set foot today in the Netherlands or in the UK or in France, all signatories of the Rome Statute, he would be, or those countries at least would be obligated to arrest him and turn.
But guess what? He's not going there, and it doesn't even matter. They're going to be right chilling in their own places, slow motion, having all of the girls, making the party, doing what they want to do, continuing to get rich, which is pretty much no different than most other leaders in other countries.
And him over to the ICC.
All right, and now we want to give you an update on this breaking news. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has just responded to the International Criminal Court's arrest warrants. Benjamin Netanyahu's office calls the warrants for him and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant absurd. The statement says Israel utterly rejects the absurd and false actions and accusations against it by the International Criminal Court, which is a politically biased and discriminatory body. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will not yield to pressure,
Well, who expected him to yield to the pressure?
Not back down, and will not retreat until all the goals of the war set by Israel at the start of the campaign are achieved, end quote.
Now, we are following developments out of northern Gaza, where one medical official says Israel launched deadly strikes overnight on the city of Beit Lahia. A director of the Kamal Adwan Hospital says 65 bodies have been pulled from the rubble. He says doctors and medical staff are digging with their bare hands because there are no rescue teams and no ambulances to provide assistance. And he expects the death toll to rise. He's making a desperate request to international organisations to bring in much-needed medical supplies. Meanwhile, the US has vetoed a...
Somebody says Anton. Well, they say Antoine. But it's Anton. It's the Anton Daniels channel, the Anton Daniels Millionaire Morning Show. Antoine, I don't understand how y'all don't get my name right, but I'm so used to it. It's been happening all of my life. Y'all throw an extra I, an extra E in there. Y'all said Ant. I didn't have people call me Anton, Anton, Antoine, Antwan, all kind of Antons. Antoine, do you agree with this genocide? I don't agree with any genocide at all. I don't agree with any genocide at all. I'm not even really sure what kind of question that is. What kind of Christian would I be? I don't agree with the genocide that's happening right in Chicago. I don't agree with the genocide that's happening in Planned Parenthood. I don't agree with the genocide that's happening right over there in Oakland. I think that there's a genocide that's happening right on our own soil in multiple different ways. But we don't want to address that, though. Let's go ahead and keep paying attention to what's happening to Netanyahu.
UN Security Council resolution that called for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire in Gaza.
Will those in favour of the draft resolution contained in document S/2024-835 please raise their hand? Those against?
Well, only the US voted against the resolution on Wednesday. Ambassador Robert Wood said the US has made clear it could not support a ceasefire that failed to secure the release of hostages still being held by Hamas.
Listen, all of this is just charades to me. It doesn't make me feel any type of way. I know that that's like the breaking news is, oh my God, international war crimes, Netanyahu, starvation and all of this stuff. Same for Kim Jong-un. Same for every other world leader. I think that it's just a charade. Oh, we're going to issue an arrest warrant from the International Crimes Court, International Criminal Court. You can apply this to most people that is in certain leadership that have to make certain decisions that they okay with, that we may not necessarily be okay with as human beings.